Well, speaking on behalf of business and hearing Liz, I don't see what the trouble here is in Washington. Business and labor agree on pretty well everything she said, so I don't know what the problem is. You know, in our over 500,000 jobs in the United States are working every day on the nuclear industry. It's a very vital part. We're an exporter, and I think the important part of the nuclear industry, as Liz mentioned, in the United States, is that 60% of our business is overseas and 60% of our workforce is here in the United States. We are building here in the United States with our plants in South Carolina and in Georgia, and we're very proud to be able to be back in that construction. The problem is the plants are closing faster than we can build them. And the recognition, as I wrote in an op-ed for CNN, there's a cliff coming in twofold. We have an aging coal-fired fleet, and we have an aging nuclear fleet. Those are going to intersect at the same time with 80 to 100-year-old coal plants and 60 to 80-year-old nuclear plants in the next 20 years. And what are we going to replace that with? Are we going to replace that with all gas? Because I'll assure you, if we replace that with all gas, not only will we never make our environmental goals, the prices of gas will go so high with that level of demand that we won't be able to afford it, no matter how much we find. So there is a dilemma coming if we don't start today building these nuclear power plants we're talking about. Unlike a gas plant where we can pick a site and maybe go straight to construction in just a couple years, it takes about 10 years to site, license, clear the site, start the construction, get it built, and put it into operations. Now, we're very blessed to have several government agencies that are truly the best in the world, with the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and have our other agencies that have the processes to help us. But the fact of the matter is that we can't decide next year that we'd like to have 100 new nuclear power plants. We have components that we have to build. And so this is where, as an industry, that we have to recognize that we have to make these decisions in a forward-looking basis. And in policy, we have to make these decisions now, and we have to decide that we need these in 10 or 15 years, because when we decide we need them, you can't have them. And that's the reality of the business that we're in. That little 20% of generation creates 60% of all the carbon-free generation in the United States. Every one you hear about closing, you can throw away 3% of the clean air that's generated in this country. That should embarrass all of us. I, like some of my other colleagues I've heard today, talk about the fact went into this industry because I felt I could make a difference in how long this earth lasts, because we could eliminate greenhouse gas in what I do. And I've operated plants, and now we sell plants, we build plants, and we make a difference every day in how that works. But to keep strong and keep this industry strong, and for us to be able to compete against foreign-owned companies around the world, it takes the partnership that we need and the support that we get from the ambassadors around the world, from the State Department, and the advocacy we get from the Commerce Department, and the support that we get from the Department of Energy, and again, having a regulatory basis that gives us that stamp of approval around the world with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Because you see, in a fair competition, the products that we make here in the United States, with having the stamp from the Nuclear Regulatory Commission behind us, we win. We win in commercial terms, we win in technical terms, and our passive reactor designs that we have are built anywhere, and we can beat any government-owned company around with our quality and our safety, as long as we can keep a level playing field and keep the financing on a level playing field. So that's really the important things for us going forward. So with that, I thank you very much on behalf of Westinghouse.
Thank you, Danny. Let me ask